I grew up in South Africa where my dad went bankrupt. My brothers and I then went on to build a company, which we later sold for 180 million. I'm going to take you all the way from zero to exit and show you all the lessons that we learned after building a successful software company. So how does a kid from South Africa even get into business? My parents bought a business, did real estate photography, that's what we were doing. They were a bit older, so technology wasn't really their thing, and I knew a bit about it, so I was helping them as I was finishing school. There was this period of our life where we had no electricity, we literally lived in a caravan, had no power, and then we built the house which had a generator which you turn on sometimes. So when we did get power, I just was addicted to it, because I was like, this thing's insane, like what is this? I just wanted to learn as much as I could about it, I just wanted to be on it all the time. But I remember discovering how websites actually worked was HTML and could view the source, which was mental. It just blew my mind. And I studied all this stuff. I was constantly trying to be better. From there, we got offered an opportunity. So the business was branching out, and it was as they were moving into printing, like signboard. Decided real fast. I had a $6,500 credit card, and we jumped in the car and we drove all the way to Melbourne in one hit. We rented a tiny house with a carport in Melbourne where it rains all the time, and you're trying to make signboards. We would go from there, we would install the signs, we'd come back in the afternoon, answer emails, do more customers, printing, and then sit on the computer and do templates until 10 o'clock at night, all without a system. And this is what triggered us to actually go and build something ourselves that could take orders in. That was the basis of what ended up becoming RealHub later on, which we never knew what would happen. Make sure you're solving your own problems. Most of the successful VC companies actually look for this. They look for founders who have been suffering from the same problem for multiple years. They've lived in the problem, they've experienced it from start to finish, they know all the ins and outs. By knowing these things, they're going to build better products. Don't try and invent a problem, but make sure you solve your own problems first. How do you take a small spark of an idea and turn it into an unstoppable bushfire? After hitting our heads against walls for a long time, I remember one day there was a meeting that I had and I just went, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I said to my brothers, it was a hard thing to convince them of because you basically had to throw away everything you'd done. But I said, if I can build the artwork builder, which is turning templates into a printable PDF to send to production, then we have to do the move. When we launched this, it didn't go down well. My parents ended up losing their franchise as like a way to get to us because there was nothing they could do to us. So they got to my parents who had a business that they'd been building for 10 plus years. That hurt the hardest. That hurt us the most. That was like such a stab, but it was also the worst thing anyone could ever do. Never give your competitor fuel or spite because they will use that to destroy you. And that was what drove me thinking about what had just happened, thinking about the debt that we owed to my parents, like $1 million, and trying to figure out how do you do this monumental task. We then went into absolute focus. I've never been more focused in my life to get something done. And we just went hyper aggressive. And we just wanted to be number one. You need an enemy if you want to perform at your best. This doesn't have to be a person or a company. Perfection could be an enemy. Some people use imposter syndrome as the enemy, constantly looking over their back, wondering if that enemy is getting closer, constantly chasing you. If you have that on your shoulder, and it'll keep pushing you forwards. You'd never become complacent. As soon as you become complacent, you die. But the next question is, how do you find the people that are going to stand with you when things are bad and the good times are far and few between?
I'm digging holes in the dirt, landscaping, and I had to go to a wedding fitting, and I happened to run into Frank, Ken's brother. He said, do you want work? We need a signboard installer. So then I went to the office and I met Ken and I met Jark and I met Frank, and apparently the interview went pretty well because I started installing signboards for them. And obviously they want to maximise the amount of value they get from an employee. So you get back earlier, you finish all your work, they're going to find something else for you to do. So then I would start doing design work for both the company and for clients that they had. When we finally decided that we're going to go build another piece of software, they're like, can you do the design for this as well? And it sort of snowballed from there. I never thought that I could do anything like what I did in that business too. And if I hadn't have found and taken a massive gamble on like overworking beyond the sort of pay range of a signboard installer, basically. I don't have a family who was entrepreneurial or anything, but I just got like carried and inspired and enabled by picking the right team.
Go above and beyond. To beat 99% of people, Just do that one thing and you're going to win in all areas of your life. These people are like unicorns, but A players are the ones that are going to go above and beyond for the business regardless of the outcome. Generally, there's no incentive and they just want to push themselves. Find these people early and reward them. You're going to build a team that's unstoppable. Very quickly, we overtook everyone and we had one major competitor left who had been there for 20 years. And we were about this close to signing one of the biggest customers in Australia. And one day the CEO of the competitor rocks up at our door. And we just thought, he's here to kill us. Like he's legit here to kill Frank. They came to us and offered to do a merger. Now we were very hesitant. Obviously this is your biggest competitor, so you don't know what they're going to play on you. But we agreed only if we could go 50-50. There's a little piece inside of me that wished we could have just gone for a couple more years to see what it felt like. There's nothing more satisfying than taking down the big boss. So we created one brand, which was Realbase. In life, you need to know when to push and when to pivot. We could have fought to the death. It would have been bloody, but we had the advantage. We had time on our side. Or we could accelerate things through a very strategic pivot. Within 2 years, we were already started the ball rolling, within probably a year of what does it look like to exit. Because we'd built something good and we knew that it was good. And we knew that with the right resources, it could be very, very powerful and no one could really compete.
Hey everyone, Frank here from Realbase. As of today, it's been officially announced that Domain has acquired Realbase.
We ultimately then sold the business, which was insane. It's a number that we never thought we would ever get. I continued working on. Then just before the end of the year, my manager, which was super weird to have, never had a job in my life where I had a manager, came and asked me and said, let's go for a walk. And I was fully bought in at the stage. I was so keen. He goes to me, so Ken, you're a bit of a key man here. Yeah, no, I am a key man. I freaking built the thing. But he was like, how do you feel about being made redundant? I was so shocked. I couldn't understand this because for me, if you got key man risk, what you want to do is transfer all that knowledge from the key man to the rest of the team, but that's not how they wanted to play the game. And this is my, it's weird to say, but it was my baby. I built this thing with blood, sweat, and literal tears. Within 6 months, I think I was there for a year and a half to 2 years. Within that time, I was gone. I was done.
Almost as much, but not quite as much as Ken lost my baby that day, where I was like, you had to hand over a thing that every decision you've made, every promise you've made to a customer for years and years about what this product is going to do, what the company is going to do, you lose control of all of that. Obviously, there's a monetary reward for doing it, so you get money, so you're sick of money. Not quite overnight, but within sort of a 2-year period, lost all purpose, all reason for being, because you put so much of your reason for being into the company. Everything you do over that time it's all in the company. It's everything that matters. It's more important than, in an unhealthy way, more important than anything else going on in your life. And then you lose that. I didn't detect that this was me being sad. It was just me going just didn't feel right. And then I made the decision to jump out and do something else, even though I knew that I was sacrificing really good money and potentially my family home that I'd managed to buy.
A lot of people dream about an exit, but are not prepared for what comes next. For me, the worst thing about exiting a business is just the emptiness that you can get, especially if you've built it from the ground up. Once you leave, you have nothing anymore that really pins you to anything. It's gone. And then watching other people destroy it, in your opinion, is very hard to stomach. But you also can be very proud of something. You've created something that is going to live past what you've done and will keep going for quite a long time. Our business still runs to this day. You wrote the first line. You did the first thing. It's a pro and a con. Was there things that I enjoyed? There were things that I enjoyed. It's just hard to remember them. Your brain doesn't remember those things. So there was some good stuff. The wins were fun. The way we could celebrate wins together was really fun. That's why I always wanted to get another team together, was because I really thought the team was the dream team. I don't think there was a team that was better. For me, in the back of my mind, I was can I do it again? But yeah, there's that little bit of doubt. And I think that creeps in all the time, even once you've achieved massive success, wondering if that was luck. Don't fantasize about exiting, because the exit is going to let you down. What I want to do is build something that's of value, that helps people achieve their goals, something that can stand the test of time, and that I am ultimately proud of.
I think we have, what would you call it, like CPSD, I reckon, me and Cam, which is like compulsive problem solving disorder. If we see something that's not solved, we're like, how do we solve it? Getting really, really apparent at this point that both personal branding and founder-led branding for businesses and content in general was just going to be on such an upward trajectory. This is around the time that creator-led products were having these huge launches because of their distribution. And we sort of saw something where it was way too difficult for us to do it as a business and keep it organized. And so we decided to go down that path. And that's when we started, like I left the job and we started building Clipflow.
One thing that did trigger us was seeing Theo do two videos about how Notion didn't work for content creation. And that was kind of enough validation that a big YouTuber found the same problems as what we were feeling.
People were like, oh yeah, I definitely have this problem. Even though it looked like the problem was solved by the Everything apps, it 100% wasn't. Everyone was having the same pain.
Yeah. I think we showed V1 to Theo and he really liked it. We were a bit embarrassed about V1. So we then went back to the drawing board and made V2, which we then took to the market and started advertising and actually actively going at. Got a whole bunch of feedback and then built V3, the version that we're using at scale and en masse.
We had a serious background in, I guess, operational efficiency and project management. Saw the gaps here. It's a project management tool and it's designed for the exact flow that content creators have. So you think about different tools for project management, writing, media review, then further on into publishing and scheduling. So you want to be able to manage your entire pipeline of content. If you're a business and you're taking it seriously and you've got the team put in place, you need a place for them to live. You need the right tools for the job. And that's exactly where Clipflow is positioned, or at least what we think it's for. And it's working brilliantly for us at our scale with a bunch of editors, head of content, us doing content across 5-6 channels now.
And for us now, it's all about distribution. It's like, how can we get this tool in front of everyone? And what will that be? Most likely organic content. And like every other business, if you can build a solid following of raving fans, you're going to do really well.